This is my review of Final Fantasy XII. Granted, it's not a review, as most people think of the term, but it's still a review in my opinion. So step off! Anyway, Final Fantasy XII was the third installment on PlayStation 2, but in my opinion was the second installment, although there was another one called Final Fantasy XII, which is Final Fantasy X-2, which in my opinion was Final Fantasy XI for me. Because Final Fantasy XI made you get online and made you pay for a subscription to play the game or whatever online. PlayStation 2 was kind of hard to get online capability if you didn't have the soft or the cords or the know-how or what have you. Anyway, this is Final Fantasy 12, and it was a pretty good Final Fantasy. When I first played it, I didn't really like it as much, but it's pretty good. So here's the first part. That's Ravenaster, I think. It's all peaceful, and that is another spot, I think. Bujerba, maybe? I don't know. Nice cliffs. They show that later on in the game. I think all the stuff they might show later on in the game. There's Vaughn. He's one of the main characters. Nice ocean. Final Fantasy usually has the same kind of stuff in the beginning, some clouds and some ocean and stuff like that. But here's some people walking and stuff, and a war going on. I'm gonna go ahead and do a new game just to show you what it looks like. There's some settings that I might have to take care of here. So let's see here. Vibration, nah. Screen shake, nah. Well, we can do a screen shake. Subtitles, I like subtitles. We're doing widescreen because it's on widescreen now. Flicker filter, that's fine. Pro Logic 2 is what I got set up as. And I won't mess with anything else. So let's begin the game. I think the only Final Fantasy that used the circle button for confirm was Final Fantasy VII. That was the first one for PlayStation 1. In my opinion, probably the best Final Fantasy they made. But let's check it out. Now this is going to be mostly animation. I can't play while recording, so I do apologize. I don't have the cool, recording, whatever you call it, the technology that allows me to record while I'm talking and stuff. That would be really nice. Maybe later on, maybe some years, I'll be able to do that. They're getting ready for a celebration. The prince and the princess get married. I like those bunny ladies. They're pretty hot. You have one in your party that's pretty hot too. They're pretty provocative. Little parade there in Ravenaster for the princess and the prince. There they are. Prince, I forget his name. Princess' name is Ash. She's also part of your party later on, after a little while in the game. This wasn't bad for Final Fantasy II graphics. Almost close to PlayStation 3 graphics.
And in the presence of these holy relics, I hereby pronounce you man and wife from this time forth. May the blessings of the gods light your path for all eternity. Follow on.
Gonna grab my drink here. Yum. And that's Bosch.
If following this Arcadia should want to
I'm Bosch of Dalmasca.
our kingdom will stand little.
Pretty funny. There's a video, I forget who it's by, but some live guy going around the parking lot saying he's Bosch of Dalmasca, and one guy wants to kick his ass, beat him up. I'm trying to make this not R-rated or PG rated. I'm trying not to say cuss words or anything. It's tough sometimes, especially when you're intoxicated.
I will go.
Mega 64. Yeah, Mega 64. Check that out. Mega 64 Bosch or Final Fantasy 12 or whatever. It's pretty funny. It's funny stuff. But this is my review of Final Fantasy 12. It's a pretty good game. It reminds me of Vagrant Story. Vagrant Story had a lot of the same sounds, a lot of the same names like Grimoire and stuff like that. So I know that the same people that made Vagrant Story made this game. And of course some of the people from Final Fantasy. They say that the first Final Fantasy was made and called that way because of the guy who was supposed to go back to school if he didn't make a good game. So he called it Final Fantasy. And it's funny, there's like 14 of them now, I think, maybe 13. The PlayStation 4 is out now, and I think the 14th one might be out. I got the 13 and 13-2. 13-2 wasn't as good as 10-2. I thought it would be just as good, and that's why I got it, but it's okay, but I haven't played it for a while. It's kind of boring. Oh, watch out. There's a lot of fighting going on. So there was peaceful celebration, and all of a sudden there's fighting. That's how quickly life changes. You get tired holding up this phone. It's pretty cool, kind of like Star Wars. And of course, as we all know, if we played Final Fantasy 12, the other empire takes over because they've got magic. They got shards, magicite, whatever you call it, manufactured nethicite or whatever. I don't know what they call it. There's Bosch riding on Chocobo. I used to call them Kookaboos when I was younger. I didn't know they were pronounced Chocobo. Kookaboo sounds funnier in my opinion. Prince, he's doing good. After this, I'll show a video of a more current spot that I'm in the game. It's not right after this, but it's like kind of in the game, in the Jahara lands, where you try to find out what your nethicite can do, but they don't know anything. The Dynast King is the one who used the power and ashes from that line. So eventually she's going to have to know how to use it, and I think later on in the game she goes with some wise people, some wise alien people or whatever, to kind of show her how to use it. There's a lot involved in this game. I'm using a strategy guide, so it helps me get through certain spots that I haven't gotten before. Certain treasure chests that you're not supposed to open and some other stuff. There's no way you can figure it out yourself. But it's a pretty cool game. It takes a lot of strategy. Pretty soon here, you're going to fight with Bosch. Vaughn will fight with Bosch to raid the castle. No, not Vaughn. Vaughn's brother. I forget what his name was. To raid the castle. I didn't know the video was this long. Pretty cool. There's Ash. Already in her black garb.
The Great Father descend and guide your bodies return to the earth.
He's dead. But he appears as a ghost later on in the game a couple times.
Your spirits return to the mother of all.
Guiding you, giving you back the nethicite. I call it magicite. Nethicite. I don't know, all the different Final Fantasies have different names for things, so it's kind of hard to keep track sometimes. Haruki Ito, I think he's in a lot of Final Fantasies as far as a producer. Final Fantasy 12.
The death of Lord Raslaheos Nabradia was but one of many tragedies.
I hate these parts, they're kind of boring in my opinion.
The air of hope that had surrounded Her Royal Highness Princess Asha's wedding was now quite lost. Dalmasca had been set adrift at the mercy of history's restless tides. At this time, two great empires
they kept
struggled
it
for dominion
X
over
when it gets to
Ivalice.
the end.
Arcadia in the east Rosaria, the west.
Who is this, Stratego?
The invasion of the Kingdom of Nebradia was Arcadia's first step in its westward march. With Lord Rossla's beloved homeland consumed by the hellfires of war, it seemed clear that Arcadia would soon mete out a like fate to Dalmasca. The fall of the fortress at Nalbina told the destruction of the greater part of Dalmasca's forces.
Yeah, I got hit X.
A counterattack was mounted by the order of the Knights of Dalmasca, ever brave and faithful. But against the martial might of the Arcadian armies, they stood little chance of victory. Indeed, their defeat was to be absolute. Soon thereafter, Arcadia came forward, offering terms of peace, or, as one might rather put it, terms of Dalmasca's surrender. Lord Romulus, King of Dalmasca, and my dear friend, had no choice but to accept these terms.
Why don't they continue on with the story already?
Thus, only with reluctance that he set
Or the
out
gameplay.
in a fortress, now under Arcadian occupation, to affix his seal to the Emperor's Treaty of Peace. The king had scarce departed his royal city of Ravenasta.
This guy talks funny.
And the remnants of the Order made their return, and not a moment too soon, for a terrible revelation awaited them.
Finally.
The treaty would be signed with steel and writ in royal blood.
Memoirs of Mace Helemendor the Fourth, Chapter 12 of the Fall of the Kingdoms. Hopefully it shows the part where you're raiding the castle. Or not raiding, you're trying to save the emperor or the king or somebody.
You there? Can you hear me?
Rex, Valen's brother.
As I feared, they're slowing
That's
us
his name.
down.
Do not say that. Not all of us are here for love of battle.
There he is,
He
Rex.
fights to defend his homeland.
There's
Your
Bosch.
name?
Rex, sir. My name's Rex.
Good. Rex. You bore a few cuts, but you are still whole. Well, can you stand?
The Vagrant story was a little different in that you could hit certain parts of the body with a certain percentage.
Think you can fight?
But this one's very similar.
fine,
The music, the
How
sound
old are you,
effects,
Rex?
the names of grimoires and
17,
other things.
sir.
I call this Vagrant Story 2.
Family?
My brother is all I have left, sir. He's 2 years younger than I, living in Rabanastre.
So young. You're barely old enough to be a man. You shouldn't be forced to wield a sword.
No, sir. I want to fight. For my homeland. And for my parents.
Time, Bosch. Save the discussion for later. We must reach the king before they act, or all our efforts will be in vain.
I'm aware of the situation.
Russell, go ahead.
I will handle this rabble.
Godspeed.
Steady, Rex. Keep your wits about you and you'll make it.
We move!
Can I fight now? I'm going to try to fight one-handed. Some video.
The Senate may play at intrigue, but Lord Vane is not one to be brought down easily. The entire military waits upon his orders, from the War Council down to the rank and file. What better blade than he to strike down the enemies of the Empire?
Your Honor reminds me of Zet 2 years since. He, too, put his trust in Lord Vane's strength, and what became of him? Gone without a trace
Lady.
since Notabilis.
I will not hear
Judge.
you malign Judge Sect. He was a noble warrior. Or do you think his trust in Lord Vane ill-placed?
Vane took 2 of his own brother's lives. He is ruthless beyond contempt.
Ruthless, you say? Would he were more so? He gives traitors no quarter, be they of his own blood. How fitting for one who would bear the burden of empire.
But could we bear him? Zargabath, what of you? Surely you do not believe his brothers were traitors?
So found His Excellency Lord Gramis. You would do well to mind your tongue, Drace. That matter is long past.
Your Honors, a summons. Lord Vane has arrived at the palace.
We come at once.
Go into the forest here where the
Lord Larsa
sexy
has
ladies
left for
live.
Baroneses. He hopes to enlist the aid of the Brancutius in stopping the insurgents. I doubt this will be enough to deter Rondor, but even a slight hindrance to his operations would be welcome. This will delay the Rosarian invasion, and we will have bought much-needed time to shore up our
I had a good
defenses.
storyline in this one.
Just as His Excellency had hoped.
No matter the result, I'm pleased with the young lord's progress. I can already see the stunned faces of those
Yeah,
mud-witted
Larsa's
senators.
cool compared to Vane, in my
The
opinion.
fools think a child
Young kid,
emperor's
pretty
dreams
wise,
easy to
smart.
pull from the shadows.
He's
But
part of
they
my
will
party
find
right
that
now,
Lord Larsa is
going
no
into the jungle.
puppet.
Yes, the senators would be most pleased with a puppet for an emperor. Recall, Drace, how the Senate fears and despises Lord Vane's ability. When they realize
This game is kind of drawn out, though. Takes forever to get places.
Man to be shepherded, they will bare their teeth and devour him.
You're right. I shall speak on this matter with His Excellency at once. Ebrant, it falls to us to protect Lord Larsa. Are we agreed?
Aye.
They got pretty cool stuff where you can like go and hunt certain animals, like marks, whatever you call them. Adds to the game. And here I am at Osmo Plain, ready to go into the jungle. Here's a little fighting I'll show you. I'm just letting them fight by themselves because it's too hard for me to fight while holding this camera on my phone, so hopefully I don't die. I think I have it set up to where I won't, so anyway, it's a little fighting, so you see what it looks like. Not bad. They're automatically fighting, so oh hey, I don't want them to go that far, but just so you see what it looks like. I reached a barrier in the forest.
What have we done? We? No. I.
She was banished.
What's that mean? How are we supposed to get through that?
You okay there, Sparkly?
Well, I'm talking over here.
I thought you'd left for good.
Our choices are few.
Friend? All fear.
This is as much for you as it is me.
Oh?
You are at ease. The nether side troubles you. You've let your eyes betray your heart.
Right.
What are you doing?
Soon you will learn.
Whoa.
We go to seek aid of the Viera who dwell ahead.
I bet they'll be glad to see you after so long.
Don't count on it.
I am unwelcome, an unsought guest in their wood.
And next is the bunny-eared village.
In the village ahead, you will find her, Nyan. Bring her to me. She will know why you called her.